you ready? Number 1, does the First Amendment protect hate speech?
What does hate speech mean?
That's a good question. But do you think that the First Amendment protects against it? Or protects it?
Like, what are you defining as hate speech? Like,
Fighting words.
I hate you, Joe. Is that hate speech?
Well, I guess anything that puts down another person.
Then yes.
It
The
protects.
First Amendment protects your liberty to
Yeah.
communicate, and I believe, and this is the Declaration of the Rights of Man and all sorts of other different places, documents, to say liberty is, I can do whatever I want as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of somebody else.
Right.
So I can do whatever I want as long as it doesn't hurt your liberty. And like laws are created to keep my pursuit of liberty hurting your pursuit of liberty.
Mhm.
So I think if we get into saying what you can and cannot say, we start to lose freedom of speech. I think if you want to use hate speech, people are going to look down on you and think you're retarded, and I think you should totally be able to show that you're retarded by moving into hate speech. But I do not think that the government should say, no, you can't say that you disagree with this or don't like this group or this whatever, because then you're missing your freedom of speech.
All right.
But if that speech is used to create, it's going to take a lot longer than 5 minutes probably.
Okay.
If it's used to create feelings of animosity and passion against a certain person, then I believe that would be hurting someone else's liberty. So like I can say, I hate white people or whatever, but if I'm trying to inspire people to actually hurt white people, that should not be protected by the First Amendment.
All
I
right.
should be able to say what I believe, even if it's negative and attacking.
Do free speech zones affect our right to speak freely anywhere else?
Where's a good free speech zone?
For example, like on a college campus, or on
Like this is a place where you can't have free speech, or what?
Yeah, either can or cannot. I mean, there's certain zones that say you can speak whatever you want in this zone, but does that affect our
Is in
ability?
America a free speech zone?
Exactly. Yeah, but there are zones that actually say that. So, is that affecting our ability to speak freely anywhere else, not in that zone?
I've never heard of a free speech zone, but if, say, on a campus of a school, they would say, here's a free speech zone where you can say whatever you want to say. I would say that that does hurt free speech because that's implying the idea is if you're not in this zone, then you can't say what you want. And so I think that is an indirect attack on free speech.
Okay. Should shouting fire in a public place be prohibited?
Yes, because that is hurting someone else's liberty. You should be able to be safe. So going to a school and saying, gunman, there's a gunman, it's like crying wolf. Like you're going to create a lot of chaos and hurt a lot of people, and that is not, like freedom of speech is being able to communicate my ideas and my beliefs. Creating chaos is not me sharing what I think about something. That's what freedom of speech is trying to protect.
All right. Is it true that the younger you are, the more prone you are to being accepting of government intervention or government regulation, the younger you are?
I don't think that necessarily has to deal with you're younger, you think the government should be involved. I think it's more of the culture you're raised in. I do think that a lot of the younger generation are raised in a culture where they're taught you should be taken care of either by your parents. I mean, we got people your age and my age who are still living at home with mom. It's like they're raised in this, someone needs to take care of me. When mom and dad want, well, the government should. But I mean, even if you look at a lot of the young adult lit that's coming out, like the Hunger Games or whatever, like in a lot of these teeny bopper trilogies, who's the bad guy? Well, like this identity, this government or whatever, and then like people need to create revolution and they need to make things fair and take away from the rich to give to the poor. And so I would say traditionally, like our grandparents would want much less government intervention than my generation and even your generation, because I think the culture they're raised in is different. But I don't think you would say across the board young people want more government intervention.
Okay. Does being politically correct affect free speech
Yes.
or inhibit free speech?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to protest across the street from an abortion clinic, given the 100-foot rule?
Like, should I be able to
Is
protest?
it fair? The question is, do you think it's fair to be able to only have to have the 100-foot rule, or to be able to protest right
So
outside
you're asking,
the clinic?
is it okay to protest, or should I be closer than 100 feet or farther than 100 feet?
If you're protesting, is it fair to inhibit the distance? 100 feet.
I would say wherever there's private property, like if it's my property, it's my clinic, and I'm doing this, then you cannot step on my private property and share your beliefs because you're affecting my liberty. But if it's a government place where it's like, hey, my taxpayers are paying for this, if it's a public place where it's like, hey, this is a part of all of us, then I don't think you should have any boundaries saying, no, you can't come here. So if it's like a private practice, then yeah, you can say, well, my property goes out 100 feet or 10 feet. But if it's a government place or a public place, then I don't think you should be able to say what you can and can't do. If it's a peaceful protest, if I'm sharing my ideas, if I'm physically restraining someone, well, my liberty is affecting someone else's liberty. So I think that's my answer.
Perfect answer.
How much longer are we going to be?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Can you wait, Andrew?
One more time with the DVDs.
All right. Take it.
Okay,
Take care, Ben.
Is speech on the internet entitled to the same protection as speech in the media?
Yes.
Okay. 2 more questions and then. Okay. So, in light of freedom of expression, should public schools be required to have dress codes?
The Constitution says that the government, that the preamble to the Constitution says the government has 6 jobs. Establish domestic tranquility, ensure justice, that kind of stuff. Anything that doesn't fall under those 6 jobs of the federal government belongs to the states. So the public schools belong to the states of those schools, or even the counties of those schools. So if the community says, we want to train up our kids so that they dress professionally, so that they're ready to get in the workplace, we think this is going to help them become better citizens, then yeah, sure. But if that community says, we want to help with freedom of expression, all that kind of stuff, you wear what you want to wear, we're not going to force you to dress a certain way to put you in a box, then sure. But I don't think the federal government should be able to force, you have to wear this, you cannot wear this. That is a community thing. So here in Collegedale or in Hamilton community, we should be able to come together and talk to our city commissioners, our school board leaders, and say, this is what we want for our community. This is what's best for our kids. That's our call, not someone in Washington who thinks they know what's best for Tennessee.
Yeah, right. Okay. Do you think that youth, or anyone for that matter, should be able to wear profanity on their shirts or clothing in a public area based on, say, freedom of expression?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's tacky, and I think that me as a Christian or just as a father or as a common decent citizen should be able to confront the person who's doing it and be like, hey, take that shirt off, go away, my kids are right here, you cannot be here, you're affecting my ability or what I want to do. But that should be a confrontation between individuals, not something where the government says, you can have the F word in your shirt here, or you cannot have the F word in your shirt here. Like, if we have a bunch of people who want to run around with F words on their shirt, that's telling us what kind of society we're living in. The government's not going to change that. So I think that there should not be a rule saying you cannot wear this. But at the same time, we need to create a society where I can be like, hey, your shirt is offending me. I don't like that. Would you take it off? And if you say no, well, I can't force you to take it off, but I'm letting you know that's offensive. And if you're a common, decent citizen, you're like, hey, I'm sorry I'm offending you. I wasn't trying to. Here's what I'm trying to say. Now we're communicating, we're talking. That's what freedom of speech is all about. The First Amendment is to say, hey, you disagree, I disagree, let's talk about it. See, before this in world history, there wasn't freedom of speech in places because whoever was in power said, my way goes, and if you disagree with me, I throw you in jail and harass you, all this bad stuff. And our founding fathers said, We don't want whoever's in power to be able to say what can be shared or not. We want people to be able to talk. So if I live in a Christian society that says the F word is bad, I should be able to communicate that with someone without getting into a fist fight or calling the cops to arrest them. Like, we need freedom of expression.
Yeah. Okay, 2 personal questions and we're done. Religious preference or affiliation.
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian.
Okay, and we've been asking all of our people that just for the poll. And are you registered to vote, and do you plan on voting in the upcoming election?
Yes.
All right, that's it. That's all we got.